I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. This video is one in a series I did with my friend Ryan Harrell there sitting next to me, in which we go through every single one of the BLHeli32 options and tell you what they do and, most importantly, when you might want to change them. If you look down in the video description, there is a playlist link with all of the other videos in this series where you can learn everything about BLHeli32, and if that's what you're into, go check that playlist out. Let's see. We're actually getting through this. Let's see what we got here. Current sense calibration. That's
right. So that was originally that feature wasn't there,
right.
And that was one that was requested repeatedly because there are little variations in the resistance of the
right.
of the shunt resistor and things like that that can impact current sensing. So having it hard coded at a specific value
right.
is only so good.
The BLHeli32 ESCs, pretty much all of them nowadays, have current sensors on them. The current sensor is calibrated from the factory, but it's not like hand calibrated. They buy a whatever 0.05
right.
ohm, whatever milliohm micro. I don't know. They buy a resistor at a certain value. They solder it on there. They program the ESC, but the value is not consistent, and you can tweak this. But here's what I've always wondered: Betaflight will give you the amps, the total amps, the sum.
Right.
But if your amps are off by whatever 5%, yeah, you could take all your ESCs down by 5%. Just by doing this, but what if one ESC is off by 5% and the others are dead on? So you really would need to.
From the one window, you can see the individual amp draws. So you would
power and battery.
Yeah. So you would just run up the motors and then look at that. And
anybody got time for that?
Yeah.
Here's what you could do if you're really a masochist, because I don't like spinning the motors because it's such a hassle.
Put a weight on it as a load.
You could. That would work. Yeah, because then at least you're not spinning a prop.
Right.
What I do is I use the milliamp hours in and out. Right. I charge a battery to full, and then I run it down to so many milliamp hours, and then I charge it back up again, and I compare the milliamp hours out to in. That gets you pretty close, and you don't have to deal with spinning props.
Right.
You could theoretically do that using the motors tab. You spin the motor, one motor at a time.
Let it run.
You let it run, and then you see, but just don't.
Anyway, so the auto telemetry feature here is
off and on
is a useful thing because a lot of guys, particularly on some flight controller and ESC combinations, where the ESC is using an analog current sensor, not the D-shot current sensor, and it's feeding analog signal back for current sensing to the flight controller. Some flight controller and ESC combinations don't have an appropriate capacitance on that line, and D-shot, because D-shot is happening very fast.
It's a digital protocol,
and it also has very sharp corners on the signal. It can create weird noise that propagates to other signal lines.
It basically makes the analog current sensing freaking out.
So it's insufficient bypass capacitance. So you can solve that by adding a bypass capacitor, like just a 0.1 microfarad bypass cap soldered across the current sense to the ground connection will alleviate that largely, but not everybody wants to do that. So you can solve the problem by running multi-shot and then just turning auto telemetry on.
What does auto telemetry
on, it'll just automatically. So normally the telemetry relies on D-shot sending a request packet to trigger the telemetry send.
Okay.
So auto telemetry says, I'm just going to automatically send every so often. So the FC the flight controller doesn't have to request the telemetry. The ESC just sends it. Correct.
Even if you're using multi-shot, you can then use ESC telemetry.
Right.
Wow.
So there is some weirdness with you. Like I haven't worked it out completely. Where possibly if you have all four ESCs with auto telemetry turned on,
I was going to say because
it might do something.
Normally,
weird,
all four ESCs go to the same UART.
Right, it still would be that way.
And then the flight controller pulls them one at a time.
So this may not work if you're using multiple ESCs. I think it really is designed particularly for airplanes that want to get D-shot telemetry.
So mini quad pilots would probably never use this.
I don't know. I tried it.
I'm not sure if we even could.
I tried it with.
Oh, hang on. I knew this was going to happen. I lost the battery. That's okay. We still got the desktop recording. But I got to get another battery.
So
we were talking about auto telemetry.
Right. So with auto telemetry, it can cause issues if you have multiple ESCs going at the same time with auto telemetry on. I was able to get it to read some telemetry data with all four ESCs, and with all four ESCs doing auto telemetry, but like I couldn't get the current data and some of the other data out of it. So,
Okay.
but I was able to get like voltage data and a few other things. So
Okay.
you could try it, see if it works. But I think it's generally designed for where you have one ESC in the environment and getting telemetry data off of that. So for instance, if I wanted to use a BLHeli ESC on my test bench and just pull data from one ESC driving one motor,
Right.
I wouldn't have to use D-Shot.
Right. You could use
I could just use
multi-shot.
multi-shot and then read the D-Shot packets off of it. So.
Okay. Great. And that is going to bring us to the end of this video. But of course, there's a whole lot of other BLHeli32 options, and Ryan and I will be covering every single one of them. Look down in the video description. There's a link to a playlist. And if some of those videos are private, it just means they haven't come out yet. There's like an hour of content here. So come back to the channel and eventually all of them will be released. And then you can learn everything you want to know about BLHeli32. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy flying.